sports fans around the world. This is another episode of Champions Arena with Bolaji. And on this on the program today, we're going to discuss the 2023 FIFA World Cup going on, the Women's World Cup going on in Australia and New Zealand right now. And I hope all of you have been watching this interesting tournament. So many surprises, so many shocks. So on this episode, we're going to discuss the round of 16, all what happened in the round of 16. And, the round of 16, Colombia versus Jamaica, Colombia beat Jamaica, France versus Morocco, England versus Nigeria, interesting match, Australia versus Denmark, Sweden versus US, Switzerland versus Spain, Japan versus Norway, and Netherlands versus South Africa. So let me start with the African teams right now. So I'll start with Peter, and I'll bring Peter. Peter is an ardent fan of football and very interesting. He watches the women's football, soccer ardently. I mean, he's been consistent, and he's been a consistent person, part of our panel for so long. Peter, what do you think about the African teams? How far they've performed, Morocco, Nigeria, and the South African team. So these teams, what do you think has been going on with them? Did they perform well? What's your opinion so far? Peter, sorry, I just unmuted you. Yeah. I still can't hear you, Peter. So can you hear me now?
Can you hear me now?
Yes,
I can hear
hear you. Yes, please.
Yeah, it just muted just now there. Okay, I'll say it's nice to be on the panel once again. I'm really glad at the opportunity to come here to discuss the Women's World Cup. The African teams, let me begin with Morocco. For all the brilliance they showed at the beginning of the tournament, they were quite disappointing this time against, sorry, who were the opponents again?
They played the South Africans. The South Africans or Morocco yesterday's match. They played against France, and where France scored many goals.
Yes,
in the first
that's
half.
what I was getting at. I was saying for all the brilliance that Morocco showed, as the tournament began, they were very, very disappointing against France. They lost by, was it 4 goals?
Yes, 4 goals. I said 3, but it's really 4.
They were quite disappointing. In any case, France are one of the top contenders for this tournament. So the fact that France won did not really come as much of a surprise. But I expected a bit more fight from Morocco, which was not there. And then for the South Africans, I mean, suffice to say they were quite unlucky playing against. Please remind me again.
The South African played against. Who did the South African play against? I can't remember. Just give me 1 second. Netherlands. Yeah, they played
against the Netherlands. That's right. And the score was 2-1, was it?
2-0.
Oh, 2-0. Yes. Yes. The Netherlands had a lot of technical superiority, and that worked heavily against the South Africans. I mean, the South Africans, they gave it all they got, but it all came to nothing. I mean, one player in particular, their captain, Katlanda, her name.
Robbie, can you help out with that?
The South African captain.
Oh, is Robbie okay? Continue. I'll get that for you.
Yes.
Because I have watched so many of them. Yeah.
Yeah, she was such a delight to watch. She had this nimble footwork that was quite delightful, and she was a bright spark in the South African team. But things just didn't work out against the Netherlands, and like I said earlier, they fell to the technical superiority of the Dutch. Now, for the Nigerians, to be honest, they performed way above my expectations in that game against England. I was expecting England to totally dominate the match. It turned out not to be so. That was a match that could have just gone any way. It could have gone either England's way, it could have gone Nigeria's way. The fact that it went into a penalty shootout, it says a lot. And this was the one particular match where this Nigerian defender, Ashley Plumtree,
Yeah.
really, really stood out. She showed a lot of attacking prowess for a fullback, which was quite impressive. Um, I had expected England to dominate and get everything settled within the 90 minutes of play, but the Nigerians performed way above my expectations.
Expectation. Oh,
It's
that's
just
nice.
it's just a pity that that they could not really get a goal, and you can see how much the English struggled to
Yeah.
even get a goal, mainly because of the brilliance of the Nigerian goalkeeper,
Okay.
who did a lot to keep the match, to keep the game scoreless. But then, that's football. Penalty
That's true.
shootout is the luck of the
Yes, it's
goes.
lottery. I agree with you. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
But fair play to England, fair play to Nigeria. I didn't expect them to come up with this performance, and they can have their heads held high.
yeah. Thank you very much, Peter. Fatima, you've always said that Nigeria will win. You are one of the people that said Nigeria will win. So, are you apologizing to us, or what do you say about Nigeria and any other African team? I know you don't owe us any apology because
Yeah,
Nigeria performed beyond expectation.
yes. Well, when I say win, I'm hopes of all of it. That's the prediction, but not like fully. With the England game, I'd have to honestly say, that was the most entertaining of out of the games, just to see like the two, because Peter, I do recall him stating that England had it in the bag for our last conversation, and these two teams, I mean, again, like when it comes down to penalty kicks, and I would like to speak with the US about that game too. Like you forget about the goalies, right? And it's unfortunate that of course you have to decide in penalty kicks. But for something like that, like Nigeria, I am so honored and proud, for our African teams, simply for the fact that they've gone so far, right, without even, playing against these top teams. And the Nigerian goalie, I would say, hands down, is one of the best goalies there. And yeah, she kept them all in the game. And the penalties, that's where it's a lot of pressure. Like for me as a goalie, that's my calm. But for a player to step up to the pitch, like at the line, the spot, and take a shot, a lot of these penalties were over the net, and that's disappointing because Nigeria could have put one in, and their opportunity. It's unfortunate they missed that for sure.
Thank you, Fatima. Thank you for your view from a goalie. Fatima is an ex-goalkeeper for the Canadian national team. If you have been watching this podcast, you'll notice that she has been talking about the goalkeepers, supporting goalkeepers, and giving us views about how the goalkeepers should be relied on, how important they are. Robbie, can you quickly tell me your views about your own view about America, the African team?
First and foremost, good evening to everybody. Good evening to those watching the podcast. It's good to be here once again. Talking about the American team, I think it would have been travesty if they had qualified for the quarterfinals because Sweden more or less held the Americans. And I think, like we all have observed from the beginning of this tournament, the Americans have not been the usual side that we have seen over the years. And according to statistics, this is the first time in their history that they'll be exiting the FIFA Women's World Cup in the round of 16. It has never happened in their history before, so it tells you how much trouble there is with this particular team. And of course, for Sweden, they held their own, they stuck to their job, and of course, they have their goalkeeper to thank because she
Yes,
made the most save in
amazing.
history as regards a Women's World Cup on that day when Sweden played played against America. So congratulations to Sweden once again. And I tell you, America has a lot of work to do when it comes to women football, because unfortunately, the rest of the world have been able to breach the gap. And right now, it seems that everybody knows what the Americans are bringing anytime they face them. So it's going to be a problem for them in subsequent tournaments when the Americans actually come to the Women's World Cup, because other teams are also as smart as possible and they also will match them strike for strike. Talking about the African teams, for Nigeria, let me start with Nigeria because I tell you that it was a spirited performance from the girls. Unfortunately, penalties is just where they lost their nerve. And if you ask me, if I were the coach, I wouldn't have asked a player who came in 7 minutes into the end of the game to take the first spot kick. That is Desire Okparanozie, because first and foremost, in 7 minutes, he had just 3 touches. So what it means, or what it meant, was that she was not properly integrated into the game. So she was not. I wouldn't have. I as a coach wouldn't have said. I wouldn't have given her that task of playing the first penalty. I would have asked either the captain, which is the goalkeeper, who also we've seen goalkeepers score penalties, to take the first spot kick, or better still, I'll ask another player to take the spot kick. And I think one thing that Africa right now do not understand, the notion around around Africa, or more or less, let me use Nigeria as a case study. The notion around Nigeria is, Nigerians will tell you that penalty is a game of luck, but Nigerians have not come to understand that there are strategies. Just like when a coach goes into a game where he tells you he's playing the 4-4-2 formation, he's playing the 3-5-2 formation, he's playing the 4-4-1-1 formation, or he's playing the 4-1-4-1 formation, and so on and so forth. People don't understand that in penalties as well, there are formations to how you place the players who are going to take the spot kick. You get your first or the best player to take the first spot kick. What does it do? It gives the team confidence to take the subsequent kicks, and you take the next best kicker to take the last kick and the third kick. Those are the strategies to taking a penalty kick. But in Nigeria, they will tell you penalty is a game of luck, and you should not blame anybody, this and that, and so on and so forth. So, but unfortunately, like I said, Nigeria lost that game when it came to penalties, when they should have done better. Going to South Africa gave it their all, but I think inexperience counted against them in that game against the Netherlands. And of course, it just tells you that Africa still has a long way to go when it comes to breaking that barrier of the round of 16 into the quarterfinals and of course into the semi-finals. For Morocco, just like Peter said, it was an abysmal performance from the Moroccans. For all the hard work they did in their second game that they won, and in their third game that they also won, they threw everything away against the French. Yes, the French were better on paper, but they did not even put up much of a fight in that game. Conceding 3 goals in less than 20 minutes of the first half just tells you how they capitulated so easily. So it is a very terrible performance from the Moroccans. Like I said, we are now at the business end of the World Cup, the quarterfinals, where the girls have been separated from the women. So let us enjoy the best of the World Cup going forward.
Yes.
Yes, before I move forward, from the African teams, I want to Taufik to really explain whatever he has to say about Nigeria, because I know that after that Nigerian match, when I was feeling somehow, he was the one that was saying that, proud of the girls and everything. So what do you think about the Nigerian match?
Okay, thank you. Basically, the match went the way I wanted, and I believe that Nigeria will win the match, but somewhere along the line, well, it is what it is. But nevertheless, if you could remember during our last discussion, I said from our group stages, the coach was playing a defensive game, giving us very few possession, working on counter-attack. He did the same thing in that match against England, and that was why we could not take advantage of one man down for 30 minutes. If we were attack-minded from the beginning of the match, we would have made that one extra person count when Lauren James went out. Be that as it may, for those who believe that we will be run over and we're going to get 5-0, 6-0, I told you that we might be I won't call us mediocre. We might be an average team, but we had 2 things going for us: sheer grit and a united team. They played like a team, and that is in some matches, not all, it surpasses skill. Because everybody expected that with what England was bringing forward, that they would have overrun Nigeria. But nevertheless, they did a good performance. It happens like that in football, but I congratulate them. They give a good account of themselves. Thank you.
Okay, quickly, Peter. Okay, thank you so much, Taufik. And I too, I felt Nigeria did very, very well, but it was um, we discussed here. Robbie said it could be, I mean, the skills that there's a way of playing penalties. I believe is lottery because even the great players of the world have made mistakes. Ronaldo, Messi, all the big players have made mistakes in the past and even lost in the finals due to penalties.
Yes.
So I still feel that it's a bit of luck and a bit of skill. And I just want to ask quickly, Fatima, what do you think is the way forward for the Jamaican team that lost and the African teams? Because I know that much wasn't expected from these teams, and people say that African teams, maybe they are more of skills and power, but no physical skills and power, and not much of technical skills. So, what do you think from an outsider view about the African teams and the Jamaican team?
Well, I would have to say that, like, and catching some of the games in the highlights, the Jamaican and these African teams, you can see that when they play in a formation of team, right? So I don't know if it was Peter or one of the gentlemen that are on the panel that, there is no individual star on these teams, right? So when you have that, it's like that these teams work together as like a unit, right? And that's why, like with the Nigeria, I'm extremely impressed. Like, I mean, their goalie, right? Like, this woman saved these balls, and that was a very pointed to move on to the next games or so. And just to see, like, I seen Jamaica, like when they were playing against Colombia, both teams, but we'll say Jamaica, the running strides, like passing the ball up the field, like the movement of the ball. I mean, maybe the skill is not quite there, but they got the speed and the formation, like to use all of the field, to use all your players. Like, I'm quite impressed with all of these African teams because that's what kept them in these stronger games against, France or even, Canada and so forth like that. Like, when you're a tight unit like that and you move the ball up, I mean, it's always good to be in a defensive side because when you're on the defensive side, you get the area view of how the other team is going to attack you. Well, once you have that down pat, yeah, I've been quite impressed with all of these African teams. I've never had the doubt that they would make it this far because the one thing that I would say, like I noticed in these games, is that they all work as a strong unit team.
Thank you very much, Fatima, from maybe an outsider view from the North American. Yeah. Now, Robbie, which way forward for the African team? And I want you to include the Jamaican team. Robbie?
For the Jamaican team, I think they've done extraordinarily well. I followed their progress throughout the tournament, and I think one thing we'll have to say is the fact that this team almost did not make it to the World Cup. They came to the World Cup via GoFundMe or crowdfunding, as we call it. And for them to have been able to play their heart and soul out. They also ended their group, I think, undefeated as well. They drew against France. They defeated, yes, they drew against France. They drew against Brazil. And they won their last game. And of course, that was what saw them come out of the group. But I think against Colombia, they matched the Colombians stride for stride. And unfortunately, it was the only chance, the only clear-cut chance created in that match that led to the goal they conceded. But overall, the team was beautiful to watch. Yes. Their playing style was compact. And I think the discipline in the team, except for their captain that got the red card, the discipline in the team was very, very commendable. But like I said, for teams like this who are more or less considered minnows, they will learn. and they will come back stronger into the tournament like the World Cup, where you have about 4 years to prepare and come back once again. And I think that is one thing that we will see in the nearest future when we're talking about Jamaica. That team has a future. That
Yes.
team can go places. That is if they keep their head in the game, and of course if they can improve in everything that they've been able to gain in this World Cup. And of course, like I said, this is one thing I enjoyed watching throughout the tournament.
Thank you very much, Robbie. Then I just want to quickly ask Peter, what do you think about the American team? Two-time champions, consecutive. Have they lost it? Is that the end of the American dominance? Is that the end, or there's still hope?
Well, we have to look at it this way. See, in football, there are what you call the traditional powers. We've seen a lot of it in men's football.
Yes.
You know, they have these tournaments where they really live up to their reputation, but there's always those odd moments when they fall and they are not what we know, what we expect. So I don't think anybody should be carried away with what's happened in the 2023 Women's World Cup. Because as far as women's football is concerned, I believe America will be back. They are one of the best in the world, and I strongly believe it's going to remain so. There will always be those odd moments of decline, but they always do bounce back. It's always been that way in football. And America is a two-time world champion?
Four-time world champion.
Four-time or two consecutive. Yes, there were two.
Yeah, four-time
they
world
won
champion.
consecutively. Yes.
Four-time world champion, two consecutive. They didn't get there by accident.
No.
So they will bounce back. Of that I am certain.
I just think I think it's time for them to have a reset, just like our Canadian team.
Yes,
they're ready
they
for
will,
a reset.
they will go back to the drawing board, find out what went wrong, and then work on it, and they'll be back.
That's right.
Does anybody think that maybe the old guard are still holding on, that they should really revamp the old team and then get new players like Canada and together, that they shouldn't depend on the old one?
The likes of Rapinoe, I think it's time for her to take a bow. And
she's retiring. She is retiring.
Did you see her demeanor after the game?
Yes, very rude.
She did not seem to even, it did not even seem to impact on her that America was out of the World Cup. She was all smiles, like nothing had even happened.
Mm.
Oh, I think she cried. I think she cried after the penalty.
Well, she did, but she was also laughing and smiling. Like it was some kind of party.
Well, I just think that's a very unfortunate exit for her last. I mean, the demeanor is, and the whole world is watching, and right there it could have changed some thoughts and maybe boosted the team. But when you leave like that, that's just there's no class, and that's unfortunate.
I still feel just like Sinclair, I feel they're legends. Is anybody saying something? I'm sorry, am I speaking over anybody's contribution?
Yes, I was talking. I was saying that the mindset matters a lot, and from her demeanor after the shootout, I felt like she was not. Though she was sorry to have lost, she wasn't particularly, she wasn't particularly bothered. For her, she just took it the way it came. Loss is usually a very hard thing to take under such circumstances. But for her, it was, okay, I've lost, I can still smile. Like that,
okay. Okay, I was going to ask, thank you so much. I was going to ask Taufik about Lauren James' exit, but Robbie, can you quickly chip in and let us know what you have to say about that, Lauren James? Then I'll ask Peter about that too, when I'm asking about the England team next match.
I didn't get what you said.
About Lauren James' exit, the red card.
Oh, okay. Well, for Lauren James, it was just quite unfortunate. I will tell you, quite unfortunate.
Yeah.
This is one player that has captured the hearts and minds of everybody throughout in this tournament. And I think, yes, they have been able to score about two beautiful goals. That is in one of the games that England played. And of course, it shows you the skill that she is blessed with, the technicality that she also possesses as a player. And I tell you, it is just one very amazing thing. But unfortunately, like I said, just like they say in football, a moment of a rush of blood to the head was more or less what led to that moment, where she stamped on Michel Alozi's back. And of course, I'll take you down memory lane. That was also what got Zinedine Zidane sent off. That was yes, yes, it should be Zinedine Zidane. That was France against Saudi Arabia. That was one
In
of the World Cup that
1998,
Saudi Arabia
yes.
played back then. And of course, that was what got him sent off as well. So these are one of the things you really don't want to see in football. And it was just quite unfortunate that for a player of her statute, for a player of her skill, for a player of her exposure, she plays for one of the best female team in the world. That is Chelsea women's team. For a player of her caliber, you would expect that she would know better. But like I said, sometimes these things happen in football. It is when they are over that is when you begin to reminisce on it. Oh, I shouldn't have done that. But as it is, unfortunately, she will play no part in this tournament. If England qualifies for the semi-finals, Lauren James will not be present. If England make it all the way to the finals, Lauren James will not be present because a red card comes with a 3-match suspension. So she will not be available
Yeah.
for the entirety of the tournament.
That's
I
right.
agree with you. Then I just before I ask Peter and the impact of that of our being sent out have on the English team. So I just want to remind you that David Beckham went through that too, and other players like you mentioned Zidane, and I remember I think was it Owen or no Wayne Rooney. Wayne Rooney too had that
Rooney.
experience. Rooney had that experience.
Yes.
So Peter, based on that history that all these players now did better, they still played for England. What do you think will happen? What Lauren James did, is it the end or is it going to have an impact on that team next matches, the England team?
Okay, let me go back in history, just like Robbie did. Now, you talked about the sending off of Zinedine Zidane in the 1998 World Cup. Yes, I watched that match live on the day, and the foul committed by Lauren James on that day was very, very similar. But I'm going to go even further, and that is back in 1982. On the very day I watched Diego Maradona for the very first time, it was in Argentina's game against Brazil. I had never seen him before that day. And what I did notice was that the camera seemed to focus on him a lot. And he was always getting hacked down by the Brazilians. And then the next thing we know, somewhere in the second half, with just a few minutes to go, he was flashed a red card in that game.
Uh-huh.
And I remember the commentator going, "Oh my God, it's Maradona. Maradona's gone. Oh no, Maradona." And I'm like, what's so special about this Maradona? I didn't know who he was. It was later when the tournament was over, I started reading more about him, knowing more about him. He was the best footballer in the world.
Yes.
What? Argentina, the best footballer in the world. That he had the same reputation that Pele did. You
Yes.
know.
Yes.
So eventually, we all know what was to happen later. He came back, and this was a period when we never got to see the best players in the world until every 4 years. An era where there was no internet, and if you lived in Nigeria, all you knew about sport was what you saw on the NTA or in the newspapers. Those there was no satellite, and then those foreign magazines like Shoot and Match were very rare. But Maradona did come back, and he won the World Cup almost single-handedly for his country.
Yes.
Now, with Lauren James, what happened with her? It represents those twists you get with every major tournament. There's always going to be one major scalp that is
Yeah.
claimed. One of those big names is going to have a moment of weakness, which will impact on the whole team.
That's right.
And that is what happened with Lauren James. I didn't even see the foul when it was committed. I just saw the referee going to VAR, and then I kept seeing the replay on how she stomped on Michelle Alozier, and I just knew she was off. She was off. And then again, that was what was to happen. It's one of those things that happen, and in such a highly charged atmosphere, our emotions get the better of us. That's what happened with her. You see, it's just one of those things that happens in the World Cup. Sometimes the biggest names And then, as Robbie has pointed out, she's going to miss the rest of the tournament if England go all the way. It's quite unfortunate because she's one of those players you want to watch. She's such a technical genius from what I've seen thus far in the Women's World Cup. So whatever this thing is, she's gonna bounce back. She's gonna come back better and much able to control her emotions because she will always have this at the back of her mind. This is always going to be a defining moment of her career in years to come, even after she's aged and retired.
What of the impact on the English team, Team England?
Oh, yeah, okay, yes. Well, it's going to have a huge impact on them because she's the star player in the team. She's the one that the English media have really been courting. I mean, you talk about England, you're talking about Lauren James. You talk about Lauren James, you're talking about England. So the team know what the deal is now. She's not going to be there. They're just going to have to build on it because, as you could see in that game against Nigeria, there was a point where the numerical disadvantage was telling on them, and there
Yeah,
were times when they could not launch attacks, and they had to keep coming back and bringing the ball backwards because of the absence of not just one player, but a very special one. So they're just going to have to, dig into their arsenal and see how they cope with that pressure. It's going to have a massive, massive impact.
Yeah.
They're just going to have to deal with
yeah,
it.
I agree with
The
you.
good thing
Hopefully,
is, the good
okay.
thing is, I'm being sent off was coming at the time. You mentioned David Beckham. When David Beckham got sent off, England was out of the tournament afterwards. But in this case, England is still in it. So
Yes,
she may
yes.
not be very much vilified as Beckham was at the time, you know.
Okay. I
So
hope, okay, I hope Russo, I mean, the player Russo, I hope the lady, is it Alex Russo, will live up to expectations because that was the
yeah.
main attacker. That was the popular one before the World Cup, before I even heard about Lauren James. So hopefully she'll be able to bring something special, bring A game to the match, their next match. Okay. Viewers, you're watching Champions Arena with Bolaji, and I have wonderful panel with me talking about the 2023 FIFA Women's World Cup going on now in Australia and New Zealand. And this panel, they have diverse opinion. I have an ex-goalkeeper here. I have Peter Asagba that is so an ardent fan, has been watching almost all the games. And I have even Robbie, the sportcaster, that has been following this game, this tournament, every step of the way. So before we move to the next, talk about the next round, which is the quarterfinal, can you quickly tell me each person? I'll start with Fatima. Who was outstanding for you? Who did you see in all the people that played so far, all the players that is outstanding? You can mention more than a player that you find outstanding that, okay, even if they get to the quarterfinals, will really, really play well. Or if that player is out with a team that is out of the tournament, that is the future will be very, very, very bright.
Okay. So I will have to say I really enjoyed the shootout against the USA and Sweden. Was it Sweden? Yeah. Yes,
Yes.
Sweden. Um, why? Actually, not just the shootout, but that game because their goalie. I have to honestly say she is. I would say was one of the highlights of this tournament. She saved that team. I mean, domineering as USA is. But I was definitely impressed. We'll say by a goalie stance. With that keeper and also the Nigerian goalkeeper. Unfortunately, Nigeria is out. We'll say specific players. Um, Unfortunately, England. I agree with Peter. The team definitely is going to have a challenge because that's one of the weakest links now. Like the team is already kind of flagged as being down a great player. Um, I can't say that I really have any specific star players. But I will honestly say, like, there will be another upset. I'll have to honestly say that like all the big contender teams are gone. We'll say, right? France, they have quite a few stars there. They're like I can't even be specific because they have a really good forwards. There's three, the front three that they're always playing with. That's a hard question, but overall, I think these games now are going to enter the final stages, and I think some of the we'll say the female players that haven't had to be stellar or be stars, everybody is going to. I think we're going to see some new stars also in the last games.
Robbie, any player that caught your fancy that you really believe will do very well in future
Uh,
or the next quarterfinals and
okay,
quarterfinals?
okay. I think I would go a different direction here. With Fatima, I will go with the Swedish goalkeeper. That goalkeeper more or less kept the team or that country in the tournament. So I think more or less maybe all our teammates should also give her their allowance for that day and give it to the goalkeeper because she was outstanding in that game against the Americans. For the Nigerian goalkeeper, Chiamaka Nadozie. Well, for those of you who are not in Nigeria, let me tell you what the country is saying. The country have tipped this goalkeeper to be so good that they want her drafted to the Super Eagles. That is what the whole of Nigeria right now is saying. And they have
Amen.
touted her to be the best goalkeeper Nigeria has ever produced since Vincent Enyame. That is the former shortstopper for the Super Eagles. That is how highly rated she is in the country. So, unfortunately, our heroics were not enough to see Nigeria qualify for the quarterfinals. And we also the pictures that came out afterwards. She collapsed on the that was in a goal area where she was crying, and the English players. Good spirit of sportsmanship from them. They went over to her, they crowded her, they shielded her, and of course, they were able to console her. And I don't know, possibly tell her some encouraging words. They even had to tell the cameraman to back away so that she could have a moment. That is just to tell you the spirit of the World Cup and how wonderful she has been and how appreciated she has been or she is not just in the country but in Africa as well as in Europe. She plays in the French top division and she is one of the standard goalkeepers in the French Women's League. Moving away from that, my team of the tournament undoubtedly will go to Japan. I will not pick a Japanese player specifically. I will pick the team because the team has been exceptional. And anytime I tweet about the team, I say this that Japan has no star. Everybody in that team plays for everybody. Everybody in that team works for everybody. That's to tell you how compact that team is. What Japan lacks in size, they are not the biggest, they are not the strongest player. They make up for in technicality and they make up for in what you call a group. How do you call it now? Should you say a very strong mentality when it comes to football? They are efficient, they are consistent, and they will keep knocking at your door until you bend to their will. That is how strong the Japanese team is. So for me, I'm picking Japan. Whichever team they are going to play Sweden next, and Sweden has to get ready for what they saw against the US is more or less like a child's play or dress rehearsals. They have to be ready for Japan because Japan is more or less like a nightmare that will not go away. So for Japan, that is one team I am tipping, and that is one team I am so impressed with about how they have played this tournament so far. Just to let you know, Japan have scored 14 goals and they have considered just one in this tournament. So that tells you how efficient they are. No side has considered the least amount of goals just as Japan has scored, and they have been one of the most highest scoring side in this tournament. So for me, I'm all out for Japan.
Okay, that's nice. So finally, did I ask Peter already who you find outstanding? I don't think I've done that. Any player
No, you
you
haven't
find
asked me
outstanding that
that.
you really like?
Are you referring to both the teams that are still in it and the ones that have gone, or just the
Yes,
teams that are
just
still in it?
whatever. That's what I'm saying that the one you think the future they've left, the players that have left, and the ones that are still playing. But I mean, you're
Okay,
really impressed
okay. Yeah,
with
I am
what
going
they did
to.
so far.
Yes, Well, obviously, but for that unfortunate incident, there is Lauren James, who I really enjoyed watching. But we won't be seeing more of her, even though England is in the tournament. See the tournament. I have a great admiration for the French defender, Wendy Renard. She's been a consistent part of that team for such a while. 6'4" tall is she. A very, very dominating presence, both in defense and in attack when it comes to set pieces. And then there is the Colombian player, Linda Caicedo.
Or is it the captain?
Scoring that very same enduring goal that she did the last time. Just like the goalkeeper saved it. I mean, she's so good in that kind of twist and placing. She's not after my heart. The Nigerian goalkeeper,
Yeah.
Naguzie is her name, is it?
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, it doesn't come much.
Yes, Chemaka Naduzie.
Yes,
I like that name. Yeah.
It is a testimony to her brilliance that, as Robbie is saying, she's even being proposed, for the Super Eagles. Much as I perish that thought, but it says a lot about how brilliant she's been. I'm quite disappointed for Jamaica's Khadija Shaw. I expected much more from her, and unfortunately, she's left the tournament without scoring a single goal. She's such a consistent scorer for Manchester City. But there was this other thing that I was going to say even before Robbie said it. And then again, he said something which I could not have put better myself. It's about Japan.
Yeah.
Japan is the team I'm tipping to win this tournament. They are just so great. The funny thing is, I cannot pick out one star in the Japanese team. I cannot pick out one player. I don't even know their names. I don't know them facially. But they are not a team that depends on individual brilliance. They are a team that depends on the team. They are just a team, and they are going. They look like a team that's going to go all the way. What they lack in size, they make for sheer grit, technical superiority, and speed. So I see them going all the way.
Yeah, I thank you for all your contribution. Interesting. Nobody's talking about the players from France, the French player. Nobody is talking about the girl from Netherlands.
I mentioned the French player.
Okay.
I mentioned the French player. Wendy Renard.
Okay, Renard.
But she plays in defense.
Yeah, the Lynette, I can't pronounce her name very well, Brazil Mastay, and all that. Oh, so those are the ones I'm looking forward to, to perform well. So let's go to the quarterfinals now. The quarterfinals. So let's chat.
Okay, who are the teams? Who are the teams?
Spain versus Netherlands. Who do you think?
Okay, pardon?
Spain versus the Netherlands. Does Robbie wants to step in to tell me what you think? Spain versus Netherlands, Japan versus Sweden.
Okay.
For Spain versus Netherlands, this is one match that is going to be very, very tough.
Yes.
I think for those who have actually seen Spain play, Spain's weakness is in midfield and their defense. And I think one thing that the Dutch will use to exploit the Spanish is physicality. I'm trying to remember the name of one of the Dutch players. She is very tall and she's very big. She is their central defender.
Yes.
So that player alone, for the games I have seen her play, she has been very, very physical. And in one of their group stage games, she scored from a corner kick, from a set piece. So it tells you what the Dutch will be thinking. The Dutch, as it is, they are a side that can adapt to any playing style, depending on the opponent they want to play. But I think Spain was going to have it tough against the Dutch, because the Dutch will combine physicality with whatever tactics they decide to actually bring to the table when they play against the Spanish. For Japan against Sweden, like I said before, Sweden will more or less have to pray. Sweden will have to train hard, and Sweden will have to hope that luck is on their side. Because that match against Japan, I do not see in any way, shape, or form that Sweden will get a victory from that game.
I agree.
So it tells you how much of a difficult task that they have on their hands.
I think Sweden won all their matches, didn't they?
He said,
The Sweden didn't they? Sweden didn't they win all their matches? So why
But
do you
yes,
think they don't have?
they won all their games. They are one of the three teams that won all their games. But like I said, they played against the Americans in round of 16, and it was a
Yeah.
difficult game for them to play.
Yeah.
And now they are coming against a side that is technically superior.
Yeah.
If you see Japan play, Japan is one of the sides that they know how to recycle the ball. They are efficient. They are not wasteful in attack. They do not force any phase of play. Against I'm trying to remember the team they played against in their round of 16 match. Their first two goals came from two shots on target. Let me repeat again. Their first two goals in their round of 16 game came from two shots on target. So it tells you how efficient that side is. They will not shoot aimlessly. They will not waste the efforts of players. There's something you call economy of movement in football or economy of movement in sports. The Japanese have come to master that technique when it comes to playing football. They do not waste energy chasing shenanigans on the field. They are businesslike and they are focused. So there's everything special about how they play. Every pass they give, they are well weighted passes. Every pass they give, they are purposeful passes. So a player does not just come, start running around the field with the ball and start doing leg over or step overs, as it is called. You do not have any player in that team that does that. So that is one thing about the Japanese team that, like I said, will make Sweden worry as a country and as a team. So, like I said, I will repeat it. I do not see any way, shape, or form where Sweden come out on top against Japan. I'm
I
not saying
agree.
it's impossible, but I don't see it happening. Just
No.
like we saying that Morocco would have defeated France, it won't have happened. Not today, not tomorrow, not next week, not next year. It was
I have
just a
some
matter of
hope.
how many. It was
I
just
have
a
some
matter
hope.
of when, and it happened. So that is more or less the same way I'm going for Japan against Sweden.
No.
Okay, nice one. Fatima, what do you think about Australia versus France?
Uh,
Australia has only lost to Nigeria, and France
Australia,
won many of the matches. So what do you think? They only
I
lost
would
lost to
definitely say
Nigeria. So what do you think?
I
Australia
definitely
versus
say that
France?
this game is going to be a tough one too. Um, ugh, like France, I mean, France is a very attacking team. They're well skilled too. A lot of fast runners, and they're always on point. They read each other's players when they run well. And like Australia, I have to say that too. Like their first two games, I think they're just coming out. But like right now where they're at, I think because of the host team, I think that this game, I believe maybe this one may go into penalty kicks. Okay, back and forth, back and forth. I see a lot of goals, but I kind of see France coming out on top on this one because France is a much like they work as a unit. I agree with Peter when you're saying and Robbie too. Japan, like they work as a unit, like a strong unit, and they read each other's passes, like how they communicate with their body language and that. So they're a very very solid team. These two teams here that they're going to be playing against, the Aussies, in France. I honestly believe that France will come out on top on this one for sure.
France. Well, France wasted their chances against Jamaica. So why do you have so much hope in France?
What's that? Pardon?
I said they wasted their chances against Jamaica, and
Yeah.
Australia beat Canada. So what do you think?
Ah, I don't see them like unless there's a setup that one of the players again, we'll say with France.
it
But
happens.
yeah,
Sometimes your first game is not very good, and then you build up on that. It
exactly.
happens. Yeah.
Yes.
You build
Okay,
up on what happens on your first game.
on the first game. Okay,
Yeah.
so we'll just take because I'm going to ask everybody to choose their four teams that will be going to the semi-finals. So I mean, get your pen ready, and I'm going to ask you. But
Okay.
right now, I want to ask Peter about Colombia versus England. What do you think about that
Mm.
match? I know you like Casero and Casero and all. I mean, that's
Mhm.
player. So Lauren James is not there, but Russo is not there because I still believe that Russo plays very well. What do you think?
Lauren
France.
James is not there. Russo is not there, but it just has to be said.
Okay, isn't
I
Russo
think.
playing? I think she's playing or she's off. I'm not
No,
sure.
you just mentioned somebody said was not there.
No, she'll be there. That's what I mean.
Oh, she will be there. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Well, regardless of the absence of Lauren James, it just has to be said. Um, Colombia has run their
Yeah.
course as far as this tournament is concerned. I don't see them going past England.
Yep.
England is most definitely going to carry that. I mean,
Okay.
as would happen in any football game, Colombia will give it a good fight. There'll be some brilliant displays. I mean, they've been the best South American representative in this
Mm-hmm.
tournament. But this is as far as they're going to go. England is
Okay.
definitely going to carry that.
That's why, because England won all their matches. So whether by penalty against Nigeria or the previous one, they won all their matches, or where
Yeah.
maybe I won't say I agree with you, but I mean the odds are against Colombia, but we never
That's
know
what
what
we're
will
talking
happen.
about.
Yeah. Yeah.
So my panel, I'm so happy with all your suggestions, your opinions, your analysis. Now I'm putting you on the spot like I always do. Give me your four teams that you're thinking of seeing in the semifinals.
All
So give
right.
me your four teams. I'll start with Robbie.
As it is, I think I will go with Japan first.
Yeah.
I'll go with England. I don't know how they're going to do it, but I think England will be able to edge it out. I would go with the Netherlands, and I'll go with France.
Oh.
So those are your four teams.
Yes.
Fatima, do you have
Okay.
your four teams ready, or I should ask Peter first?
Okay. I can tell you mine four because I wrote them down. Just because I like playing with fire. My first pick, I agree with the panel, Japan. Um, I'm gonna go with Colombia in there too. France, as another pick, and I think Spain, just because I want to throw some spice in there too. So yeah, those would be definitely my four pick.
Okay. Peter, what do you think?
Spain and Netherlands. I'm picking Spain for that one.
Okay.
Okay.
Japan against Norway, definitely Japan.
Yeah, that's me.
England against Colombia, I've stated my case there. England.
Yeah.
And then France. Who's France playing?
Ah,
Somebody
France is
remind me.
going to France
Australia.
is going to play
Australia.
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 Okay.
Yeah.
I think France is going to carry that one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
France is going to carry that.
yeah.
Okay. I've had your picks. Is there any other thing you want to contribute before we round up until the next program, which will be after the quarterfinals, before the semifinals? Is there anybody? Do you have any opinion? We've missed Taufik because he has to run quickly somewhere, but I have my interesting panel, and they've picked different teams. I need you guys. Robbie, do you have anything to say? Peter, do you have anything to say? Fatima, do you have anything to say? Let me
I
start
do.
with Peter, then Robbie will conclude. Let me start with Peter again.
Okay.
And go to Fatima and Robbie. Whatever you have to
Okay.
say, past matches, future matches, what to expect,
Yeah.
what I will hold you on to, what I will hold you for next episode, and what I should just let go next episode.
Hmm.
Well, I just want to be here on the next panel to say I told you so about the picks I've made.
Okay.
That's nice.
Yeah.
What do you have to
Okay,
say?
mine. All right. So yes, I'll always refer as the goalie. I'm just curious if any of you gentlemen there would think that any of these four upcoming games will end in penalty shots. I'm curious.
Okay.
Yeah, that is
Does
always a
anybody think?
that is always a possibility. That is always a possibility
That's right. I know.
in a
Yes, very possible. I believe
quarterfinal
that at
game.
least one match will go all the way to penalties.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I
Okay.
see that
Yes,
too.
because both teams will
Goalie
want to
always
give it
looking
their
for
all.
goals.
A
Sorry,
very hard
Peter, what
fight.
did you say?
With that,
I say both teams will want to give it their all, go all the way.
yeah.
And
That's nice.
sometimes one team is ahead, and then there could be a slip up, and then the other team gets back in the game, and then
Yes,
it turns
yes,
out not to be a
absolutely.
foregone conclusion. Yeah.
Robbie?
So, yeah.
Like Peter rightly said, I believe at least a game, at least I believe one of the fixtures will go all the way to penalties.
Yes.
That is one thing we have seen throughout the round of 16. And of course, it has just shown us how much the World Cup title or how much the World Cup trophy means to these players. They are willing to lose a limb. They are willing to put their heads where they are not supposed to put it, all because they want to advance to the next level. And I think this tournament has more or less showcased to the world the contribution that women have in sports and of course in football generally. It has been an amazing tournament. It has been a colorful tournament. Yes, we have seen improvements in terms of the officiating, where referees have come out to explain to fans in the stadium the reasons behind a particular decision that was made. Unlike before, where a referee decides to more or less maybe pick a penalty instead of a foul, or pick a throw-in instead of a goal kick, or pick a corner instead of a goal kick, and of course they don't get to tell the crowd why they decided to go with that decision. But right now, FIFA is also putting the referees on the spot and holding them accountable for every decision they make. So they also are under the microscope, and I think that is one thing that will change the face of the game going forward. That is just my own 2 cents.
Yeah.
Peter, were you going to say something? Or you just, because I can't see you very well, but that's okay.
Oh, no, sorry, I was talking to my kids. Sorry.
Okay. Thank you, Peter. It's allowed. Like we said, this program is come as you are. There is nothing gaps are allowed. Be yourself, and I like that. Like Robbie said, that it has been an amazing tournament. Even the turnout, I was surprised that the spectators came out than usual because I thought when New Zealand left and everything will just change, and that maybe when Australia is not playing, the turnout will be so low. But the stadium filled, all the stadia have been filled, and I really, really enjoyed it. And as amazing, like the officiating and everything, as Robbie said, I am so impressed with my panel. You guys are very amazing, and I've enjoyed this program. I've sat down, looked at everybody contributing, even though we are not as many as we used to be. It's been an interesting program. I appreciate you, and hopefully we'll be together next time, and you'll be able to tell me what your opinions are. Peter, I've recorded what you said. Fatima, I've recorded what you said. Robbie, I hope you don't get in trouble when next to me. It's been an interesting episode. I enjoyed you all. Well, viewers, I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I did. And I promise that we'll do better next time. We're just real, we're being natural. Please join me on next episode. Make sure you subscribe to this channel on YouTube, on Twitter, and as well on Spotify. Hopefully, Facebook too is on Facebook. Next time too we'll meet. Keep on supporting sport. Keep on enjoying the tournament, and keep on joining this program. Thank you very much. Bye for now. Bye,
See you,
Naka.
gentlemen.
See you soon. See you next episode. Bye.
Adios.
Thank you very
Adios.
much.
See ya.
Ciao.
Thank you. Bye.